Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Bonus file, written by shiasupprize, the great bathroom haunting. So the last time anything happened around here was around 2 to 3 years ago. Nothing really happened after my previous encounters, and eventually I moved to another house last year. I've been living in a new house for just under a year now, and I thought everything was going to be cool until what happened yesterday. So it's just another day. I wake up and do my daily routine. The day is going great. I go to the bathroom to do my business while browsing Reddit. Suddenly, I see and hear the washroom door get bashed in. I crap myself right there. Good thing I was already on the toilet, since there was no one there and I live alone. I check the door and there's no evidence of any damage on the door or to the frame. The door was still locked. I just can't comprehend what the hell happened. How can something bash a door in but not leave any sort of damage or trace? There was nothing behind the door either. Now this house is old as hell and lacks soundproofing. You can hear everything, and I mean everything. You can hear sounds from the basement to the top floor, and let me tell you, it was dead silent the whole time till that door opened. Now this will sound like such a long stretch, but I believe this is one of the previous things I've encountered, or some sort of leader of these entities, letting me know that no matter what I do, no matter where I go, they're not too far behind and they could have ended me a long time ago. I'm pretty sure they're just messing with me, but sending a message at the same time. Rarely, I wake up with a tiny little cut or scratch around my arms and legs, though I think it's just my own nails causing it while I'm asleep. But it could possibly be related to this. There have been odd things that have happened rarely too, like the sounds of some small objects falling. But I think it's just the stuff in my drying rack sliding around. What concerns me the most is the food-related items disappearing, but it shows up in a different place, days or weeks later. It's been about 2 weeks since I posted this. Thought I'd give you guys an update. I checked my smoke and carbon monoxide detectors and nothing is wrong with them. I changed the batteries in them just in case. I did set up some cameras as you guys suggested, but nothing has been caught yet. Case notes, bonus file. I would too crap myself if anything remotely similar happened to me. It's actually a sort of phobia I have, to be attacked while doing one's business. Naturally, we're more vulnerable in that state, but far worse if I was being played with by a malevolent force. There was a story a while back I read where a presence was attached to a specific room rather than a person, and it was affecting the family's mother potently, making her ill. They brought in a priest to cleanse the place, and it seemed to work. The mother recovered quickly after. I don't know if it's tied to a specific religion or more the strong will of a person demanding this presence to effectively cease and desist. Might be something to look into if you can't find any other way to escape whatever this is. File number 566, written by fanfictionmusiclover, Dreams of Another's Memories. This is a series of events I haven't pieced together until last summer, aka summer of 2021. So, when I was younger, around the age of 10 years old, we visited for the third time in my life, and the first time I remember clearly, my great-aunt Eugenia's house in Aigio, Greece. This time was the first we visited, and she wasn't with us anymore. She had passed away. That summer, I remember it very vividly, because I had constant dreams of her visiting me and lighting up the holy candle that was hanging over my bed at night. It was something she used to do when we were visiting because at the time there was faulty wiring in my room, so we didn't use any of the plugs, and the candlelight also worked as a nightlight, so I wouldn't stumble on any furniture at night when I get up to use the bathroom. Usually after those dreams, I would wake up to find the holy candle lit or slowly going out since it was morning. That summer also was the first time I was allowed to explore the neighborhood with my 5-year-old sister, but not as far as we would have liked. But one evening, my dad and my aunt Helena had a fight, and when dad gets angry, he leaves and goes for long walks. It's something he does to calm himself down. That evening, I heard the fight and I wanted to console him, so I quickly ran after him. We walked around the neighborhood in our PJs and flip-flops as we enjoyed the sunset and the sea view we had as we talked about various things but the fight. On our way back home, after Mom called my dad, we passed the house on 39th Konstantinopolios Street. I remember it looked so jarringly familiar that I froze before it, and my dad unknowingly kept pulling as we were holding hands. I didn't know why it looked familiar, so I pushed that memory aside. Years go by and it's 2018. We are visiting the house again. This time I had an anxiety attack that was so bad that Mom suggested I remove myself from the house. Where was the thing that caused me my anxiety, aka my phone and social media? And I listened to her, left my phone, wore my shoes, and I left the house. Just as I was trying to shut the door in my frantic state, Dad stopped me, saying I shouldn't be alone now, so he tagged along. We walked the same route as all those years ago. My anxiety attack slowly faded away, and we sat by a bench enjoying the sunset when I finally calmed down completely. On our way back, I saw the house again, and this time I was sure it looked familiar because I had seen it in a dream. Yet I couldn't pinpoint the dream. I would visit this house many more times during the summer of 2018 and 2019, trying to make my mind recall the dream. It was summer of 2020 when I was talking on the phone, and since on the street we have better cell phone signals, I was pacing around the neighborhood when I heard music coming from down the street. Now keep in mind, this neighborhood is located above nightclubs, and it was summer. Music is always present either by the nightclubs or because many of the houses in the area are summer homes and everyone has windows open. But this music didn't fit in. It sounded like it was coming from a gramophone. While listening to my friend rambling, I started following the music, and the moment I stopped before the house, the music stopped. I jumped when I heard the sound of a glass breaking that came from the balcony of a house next to the one I was staring at. I shook my head, thinking again that it came from a different house, and the sound just spread out. Summer 2021, I'm walking down the same path with my dad as a leisure walk this time, and we are discussing architecture of the early 20th century, when my dad stops before the very same house and points out how the house looks old, but the terrace looks relatively new, maybe 1950s. That was when I automatically corrected him, saying that the terrace is older, but the renovation might have been around the 1950s. He looked at me confused, wondering how I knew that, but I just shrugged and pointed lamely that the brick that the whole house was covered in was exactly the same, but the railings were different. If they hadn't stored the bricks to use later, it must have been built all at the same time. My dad gave up after that, saying that I was right, and we kept walking. As we were walking, a small breeze blew, and I heard the gramophone music again. That was the moment I remember the dream. That was a dream of me watching some young girls around the early 1910s, walking towards that house as music from the house was able to be heard all the way down the street. I didn't know who those ladies were, but they were around 17 years old, maybe some early 20s. I watched them entering the house that looked in very good condition, not as abandoned as I grew up watching in real life. I remember I followed those girls inside the house where there was a party happening. That was when I realized the time period. It was a send-off party. The eldest son of his household was going to fight World War I, and all his friends and family threw him a party to say goodbye. They were quite rich, judging by how the house was decorated. I remember watching a couple in that terrace looking at the sky and talking about how fragile life is, and that when the war ends, the man would marry the girl. And the girl told him not to make promises he can't keep because life is unexpected. After that, I felt myself being pulled back, and I found myself watching the house, and this time I saw my grandma and great-aunt Eugenia standing outside of it, holding each other's arms, and I wanted to yell out to them to say hi, and that I was there, when I realized they couldn't see me. I had nobody. I was just watching everything. Judging by how old my grandma and great-aunt Eugenia were, I would say it was around the early 1950s, and I could see construction happening around the house. My grandma and her sister, they asked what they were fixing to the construction worker, and he answered they were fixing the railings because the granddaughter was bringing her fiancé from Australia, and the wedding would take place in the house. Grandma and her little sister commented how happy they were for the granddaughter to finally settle down and wished the construction worker good luck before leaving and continuing their stroll. I followed them, but I kept feeling pulled back, and I was screaming for my grandma to hear me. The last thing I heard was my grandma talking to her sister about the job she took in Pella as a teacher and was wondering if it was worth it to be this far away from Aegio, their hometown. After that, I was pulled back into the house and was somehow now abandoned, and I couldn't get out. I was crying and slamming my fists against the main door. Something else scared me after that because I had jumped up awake and was crying in my sleep. I have no idea what that was, all of these memories that I recalled in the dream, but they aren't mine. I went back and started staring at the old house and wondering why I was watching this dream when I was about 10 years old. I haven't had a dream about that house ever since, but I feel a pull towards that house and I don't know why. Especially the terrace. Maybe that was me in another life.